Hello ladies, and welcome back to Self Love TV. I'm Miss P, and I'm back today to start this self-love workbook exercise we had talked about in a previous video. I told you I would be sharing some of the information that I have been studying. This is an excellent workbook. I hope some of you ladies have gone out to purchase it, but if not, you can follow along, perhaps take some notes. Today I don't want it to be a very long, so this is just going to be part one, but I'm going to go over the introduction and perhaps share some things from here, read a couple things for you to think about, and perhaps sit down and journal, take some notes for yourself, and help you to start this intense self-love development, because that's what we're here for. This is what this channel is about. So put on my little spectacles here. This book is actually just amazing. I have been reading, guys. I need to get me a bookmark. I'm just using this. Let me stick this in my place. But today, I thought it was important that we understand what self-love is. And I'm going to read a couple things to you. This is by Barbara Angelist. It said, women need real moments of solitude and self-reflection to balance out how much of ourselves we give away. Ladies, we give away so much of ourselves to our families, to our spouses, children, our jobs, our friends. Women are natural givers, nurturers. I think that is what the Creator wanted us to be. I think that's important. But in doing so, we often have neglected loving ourselves enough that we're taking care of ourselves. And sometimes it's not even the fact that we just don't love, we just don't think about it, because we have so many hats we're wearing and so many things on our plates, and we're so busy taking care of everybody else that we neglect to take care of ourselves. And then one day we look up and we look at ourselves and we wonder, what happened to me? Where did I let myself go at? So hopefully doing these exercises will help you to get back to you, or get you on the path to being back to yourself. Or if you have never been there, get you on the path to loving yourself. Okay, I'm going to read what self-love is textbook-wise. Let me read this to you really quick. It says, self-love is the fuel that allows an individual to reach their full potential and is filled with compassion, grace, and gentleness. Making space and prioritizing ourselves allows us to embrace our lives completely and wholeheartedly. Self-love is learning to extend kindness toward others. Kindness toward ourselves, even when we struggle and suffer. It is extending forgiveness to ourselves when we make mistakes. Self-love means prioritizing ourselves and giving ourselves permission to find and believe in our strengths and gifts. Sometimes it means putting ourselves first. Sometimes it means making space to identify our needs and wants. It involves setting boundaries, and setting boundaries involves self-love. These two concepts work together. Okay? Now, next I'm going to read what self-love isn't. To better understand what self-love involves, sometimes it helps to think about what self-love isn't. Self-love is not perfection, nor is it always being happy, which we sometimes think. It is not based on your achievements and external measurements of success. It is not rooted in shame-based criticism or fear. It does not shame, minimize, or criticize. Often women think that they can love themselves through fault-finding and beating themselves up, as if this would help them become a better version of themselves. If you can relate. I can promise you that in the effort to make yourself better through self-shaming and self-criticism, you will become worse and broken down, waiting for someone or something to rescue you. True self-love must come from within, even when we screw up or take a wrong turn in life. And that is the problem. Sometimes we're so busy beating ourselves up because we've made some horrible mistakes in our lives, and we find it hard to forgive ourselves. Or things happen to us that we can't seem to get past or let go of. It could be abuse from parents or spouses or significant others or children, or just failures from your life. You know, you never really quite accomplished what you wanted to be in life and do with your life, or you never quite looked the way you wanted to look. So we repetitively beat ourselves up, thinking about it, dwelling on it, and we never learn how to release the pain of our past so that we can move into our lives and be happy and love ourselves. That is a really big problem. A few things I want us to really look at, you know, why we struggle to love ourselves. Sometimes it could come from childhood wounds, deeply rooted trauma, as I stated before. Where there is shame, self-love struggles to grow. Remember that. If you feel shamed of something that happened to in your life, often it's going to be really hard for you to recover and love yourself. If you had a difficult childhood that was rooted in dysfunctional patterns, self-love may never have had a chance to take root and blossom. And that's the problem with a lot of us. Some of us comes from some dysfunctional backgrounds, you know, and I hate to say it, sometimes it could be from childhood, from your parents or those who raised you. And oftentimes it wasn't because they didn't love you, it's because they themselves lacked love. They themselves neglected to get what they needed from their parents in order to be able to be a better parent for the children that they bore. And I think all of us probably have looked at our lives and looked at the way we reared our children, if we were parents or our parents, and wish that we could have done something different. You know, I was a single mother of a son, and I often wished that I had more of a male figure in his life, because he took so much of me as a woman. And I believe sometimes some of the things that has happened to him in his adult life is because he didn't have that male presence, that dominant male presence that allowed him to be able to stand up and say, I'm a man and this is not going to happen, versus being more soft and allowing things to happen. So sometimes we can look back at the things that we have done as parents and feel like I failed at being a parent because I didn't do this, A, B, C, D, and E. And we can't get past that. And sometimes it could be that your children or people in your lives are constantly making you be reminded of what you didn't do or didn't do enough of. And because of that, you still beat yourself up so much that you find it hard to get out of that shame, and it actually attacks the love that you can have for yourself. From moving on and being as loving and compassionate toward yourself so that you can move on and have a healthy, productive, loving life now. That's often a big problem. Next, we're going to talk about where self-love can show up in, the lack of it. It can show up in hating our bodies, destructive patterns like dieting, binging, and purging, compulsively body checking and comparing ourselves to others on social media and in our lives, endless chase for emotionally unavailable or inappropriate partners in fruitless attempts to feel special or wanted. We actually get into relationships with people that aren't good at all, just seeking love. We want to feel that comfort, and sometimes when we feel that comfort, whether it is intimately or just the presence of a person, a man in our lives, it often makes us feel like that's real love because somebody's there. We often do that. This is so revealing, guys. This makes you look at your lives. It makes you actually peel back the layers and be honest with yourself. Lack of self-love reveals itself when we focus on finding external sources to fuel us. This often leads us to feeling even emptier inside. Hustling to prove to others and ourselves that we are worthy becomes an endless, empty pursuit that mistakenly feels like self-love, as I just stated. It is not. Self-love is what shines through even when we don't accomplish our goals or meet our measurements of success. Even when we tend to try things and we fail at it. Say for instance, you were pursuing a certain career or a job or even a partner you wanted, and that didn't go the way you planned and it failed. That should not attack who you are as an individual and stop you from loving who you are, because when you know who you are, when you love the person you have become and you have worked on and have developed to be, it doesn't minimize you just because someone else can't appreciate it, just because they chose someone else for another job, or your partner decided to walk away from the relationship. That doesn't negate who you are as a person, because you know who you are. Self-love must involve extending kindness and grace to ourselves, no matter the outcome. No matter the outcome. And later in this book, there is an opportunity for you to put that into practice. So, the benefits of loving yourself, and I think this is what I'm going to cover today, and then we're going to come back and do a reflection on this. So I want you guys to actually take notes here and perhaps have some questions for yourself. This is a personal journey. It's not anything you have to share with me, but this is personally for you. Okay, the benefits of loving yourself. A kinder, gentler you. Imagine talking to yourself in a loving and supportive way, kind of like a best friend, a coach, a parent, or teacher. Being supportive, encouraging, and forgiving allows for grace and peace for you to come into your life. Number 2, more energy for living fully. Freeing up space and time to nurture yourself and to practice self-love allows for a renewal of energy, an endless supply of fuel that comes from within. It's like a well that never runs out of water. Number 3, more love to share with others. I always say this, and they say it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. It's hard to love someone else the way you want to if you don't first love yourself. And that's true. When someone once told me it's best to love others more than yourself, you have no idea of how to love others if you don't first love you. So loving you is the first person that you should love before you understand what it is to love anybody else. Loving yourself more will have a positive impact on all of your relationships. If you don't first love yourself, you may fall into a pattern of dependency or need. And number 4, healthier relationships with loved ones. Without self-love to fuel our own lives, we will feel the need to look elsewhere. Sometimes that takes the form of attempting to find fuel in relationships with others, as we had mentioned before. Unfortunately, these relationships can become imbalanced and filled with need, resentment, and bitterness. As we look to others to make us happy or help us feel worthy, learning to self-love allows us to have healthier dynamics and expectations in relationships. We become the creators of our own happiness. So, I want you all to write down how loving yourself will benefit you. If you have a journal or notepad, write down some ways that loving you could make your life better. Let's start there. Let's start with looking at our own lives. And this is personal. You don't have to share it with anybody. But I want you to think about areas of your life that you feel could benefit from you loving yourself more. Write that down. And then I want you to practice on at least one of those. Practice doing at least one of those. And whatever area it could be, whether it is how you take care of yourself. Do you allow yourself to let yourself go? Your hair, your bodies. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating good? Or you just eat anything? Are you working out? At least walking, getting exercise, getting vitamin D, natural vitamin D for your skin. Are you drinking water? Are you making sure you're hydrated? Nothing extravagant. Are you taking time for prayer? Prayer to the Creator to help you, meditating, getting in serene environments so that you can practice self-love. Simple things to start this self-love journey. So this is the first exercise, first day of our self-love journey, and I hope it's going to be helpful for you. Make sure you're thinking about it. Make sure you meditate on these thoughts and work on yourself, ladies. And I'll see you in the next video. Remember always, peace and love.